On Tuesday morning, a very simple story was told that revealed to us a very basic arcane law, or one of those sublime mysteries. And it does allow a question to be asked, and maybe the awareness to arise of what this arcane law is. But first, there's a reminder of that story you'll no doubt remember, of the dervish who was with the great Sufi sheikh and master for more than 20 years. But he would often lament the fact that he had never had an ecstatic experience. He'd never had even a realization or even a little revelation. But one day, after he'd left the tekia, the house of learning, and his master, he was pursued by a band of knife-wielding robbers who chased him to the edge of a cliff. And of course he had no choice really, because he knew that the robbers would kill him for his money. So he jumped. But as he jumped over the cliff, he cried out with all his being, "Allah, Allah, save me!" And just at this moment, a pair of hands came towards him. He recognized those hands. They were the hands of his Sufi master. He'd seen these hands for more than 2 decades, and the hands caught him and gently lowered him to the bottom of the cliff, and he was totally unharmed. Well, he couldn't wait to race back to thank his Sufi sheikh and master, and he dashed into his presence and he kneeled down in front of him. "Thank you, master, thank you, thank you, thank you for... But why have you never given me this experience before?" The Sufi sheikh looked at him and said, "Well, why have you never called on Allah like this before?" And the story that was told is a simple story about a day when God called one of his angels to him and said to the angel, "I want you to go down into the world and find the most precious thing and bring it to me." So the angel spread her beautiful feathery wings and descended down to the earth. And as she was cruising around, she happened to see a mother with a newborn babe in her arms. And the mother was gazing down at her newborn with the most beatific smile on her face. And when the angel saw this, she thought, "Oh, this must be the most precious of things." So she thought to herself, that mother has many smiles, so she won't mind if I just steal this particular smile. So the angel took the mother's smile and took it up to the heavens and presented it to God. And God said, "Yes, that is a very precious and worthy thing, but it's not quite what I was thinking about. Go again and see what you can find." So again the angel spread her wings and descended down to the earth. And as she was flying around, she heard the most exquisite sound in the forest. And she went into the forest, and there she heard a bird. She was so mesmerized by the sound, the trilling of this bird, she thought, "This must be the most precious thing." She stayed for a few hours listening to the beauty of that sound, and then she took that sound and presented it to God. God said, "Yes, that truly is exquisite, but not what I was thinking about. Go again and see what you can find." Well, by now the angel was getting very tired, but of course she could not go against the wishes of God. So again she spread her wings and descended down. And there she saw an old man standing on the side of a busy road, maybe in India, one of those places where there were wagons and carts and cows and all kinds of traffic, and he was obviously very afraid to cross, when suddenly a young girl came up beside him and said to him, "Can I help you?" And very gladly he took her arm and she guided him across the road. Well, the angel, seeing this act, thought this must be the most precious of things. So he took this act of goodwill up to God, and God said, "Yes, doing good is a most precious thing, but not what I was thinking about. Go again and see what you can find." Well, of course, the angel was very fatigued by this time, but what could she do? She had to obey, and so she flew down once again, and as she was flying over, she came to a road that meandered, and just as she was coming down towards the road, she heard the sound of sobbing, crying, weeping, like a bleeding heart. It wasn't a child's cry. And when she came close, she saw that it was a grown man, with tears flowing down his face, crying, oh Lord, forgive me, for my life is a shambles. I've lost my wife and family because of my anger, and now I'm estranged from my beloved brother. I repent. I surrender. I capitulate. Thought the angel. So flying down low in front of the man, she took one of his tears. And in that moment, the man thought, "Oh, I feel a gentle breeze. I feel at peace. My pain and my sadness have gone." Then the angel flew back to God and presented the single tear of this weeping man. Said God, "You've done well, for the most precious thing in all the world is how would you complete this sentence? What is it that we've experienced in our life which has allowed us to recognize not only what this most precious thing is, but also what the arcane law that is now here for us in every moment of our life?
Like the surrendering to God.
You can put it in those words. You can put it in those words. How would you put it?
The surrender takes away the pain of suffering.
Absolutely.
So,
Haven't you experienced it for yourself? Haven't you experienced for yourself the moment you surrender everything? I can't do it. And there, what happens immediately? Or, even in the simple things of life, we know it before. If we're artists standing in front of the blank easel, or standing there, if we're a writer, sitting at the desk waiting. What is it in that moment? What is it when you're standing in front of someone now? When you've given up the need to do good or be out there or prove yourself or... What is it? What happens? Where are we? What is this law? What is this fundamental law that becomes so very clear for us? No, I told you
the
that.
acceptance of what is, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's just the acceptance of what is.
Turn it around. I told you the story, true story before about a friend up in the tablelands who has been coming for many, many years. And she was a slave, an Italian wife, a slave. And she has her deli up there. And one day she came to me and she said, "Oh, a terrible, terrible thing has happened and I know that I did it. The shop burned down." She'd gone in the day before, in the morning, after an incident with her children. And she'd stood in front of that deli door and she, in total desperation, in total pathos, she said, "I don't care if this shop burns down." And that night it did. She didn't do it directly, but she came to me and she said, "I know that I did." I said, "Good." I said, "Now you speak my lingo." After all these years. What is it? When she said with every atom, every single fibre of her being, "I don't care if this shop burns down. Surrender."
Vacuum law.
Right. Give it a name. Translate it now into this simple story. What is the most precious thing?
Freedom.
Certainly it's freedom. Certainly it's freedom. But finishing this sentence or this story, you've done well. The most precious thing is... What's the most precious thing in your life now? Every single moment.
Faith.
Grace.
Right? Right? What was that?
Grace.
Grace, right? It's always there when we finish this line.
Peace. Peace.
Yes, peace. Peace.
It's almost like a call of the soul, isn't it?
You're right. What is it in that lamentation? What is it when that, in that moment where that man is crying with every fibre of his being, "I failed, I can't do any more." Where are we every moment of our life?
It's his true self, the essence of his being in the tear.
Yes. You can say so. Put it in your parlance, put it in your words, whatever they might be. Without thought and or fear of what people might interpret as or judge it as.
To me, it's that point where one completely cracks open, and the shell of identity, the shell of what has held things in place for so long, fear and greed and lack of security and all those things drop away, and that egoic shell just gets out of the way and allows the force to just come through and grace to be experienced.
So what is that most precious thing?
Trust comes to mind, right? That there's something supporting us. Something
Trust
behind
is gain of the mind. All of these words, trust and faith, are of a mind.
Emptiness.
Right.
Because emptiness allows a grace to enter.
Yes.
Otherwise, if it's
Whatever.
full,
Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Give it a word. Give it a... Finish this sentence. Put it in your words. Make it real. Make this state that we now live in as an acknowledgement of this basic arcane law that is present in our life when stillness and movement meet. Brings us to a place and state which is ever present in us. It's got nothing to do with faith and hope and trust, because those things are of the mind. Relative perhaps to there being something out there that is going to bring it the way we want it to be. It's not so. It's like this is a space that is going to be filled, like as representative of the monk's begging bowl. He doesn't know what he's going to get. He doesn't know whether he's going to get gruel or rice or a bit of rancid vegetable. Who knows?
Acceptance?
Acceptance, yes, as just was said. Acceptance.
But as acceptance can make us be in movement, maybe something like everything is God, whatever.
Yes, of course. From that we have this total awareness that's ever present too. We know this with our mind.
As soon as we stop the doing, it's there, it's just the nothingness.
Yes, it is. It is.
I think it all comes back to grace. The
Grace?
of God.
The grace of God.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's always there.
the
That's all it is.
unknown.
Yes.
Die into the known,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
it's like a new birth.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Oh, wow. As being.
Being. Mm-hmm.
Human being.
Human being, not human doing. This is what I used to always say. Be a human being, not a human doing.
In that moment of desperation and calling out is also a really strong feeling of powerlessness to
Yes, all of that. Which of course takes us beyond the mind, beyond that
yeah, just
the
nothing.
movement keeps us in that place of absolute stillness. But being a little pedantic for the moment, to again ask, how would you describe, how would you finish this sentence?
Space.
All right.
And that the most precious thing is the 0 point.
All right, make it your own. Make it your own. Make it real. You know, if you put it in my parlance, I would say make God real, because we have no other way of describing it. But in this sense, to know these arcane laws is to be able to recognize this, and this is a fundamental.
With emptiness comes bliss.
Yes, yes,
Absolute bliss.
yes, yes.
How much alcohol does it take? How much alcohol does it take to get to bliss?
It's a wrong form of bliss.
I don't know how many people here feel bliss. I don't. How far behind am I? I don't feel it. How often do I ask God?
You first ask yourself, what is bliss? If there's bliss, there has to be an opposite to it then, doesn't there? So it brings it right down smack to the mind. There's bliss on one side and pathos on the other. What is this place we're in every moment?
Suffering is bliss.
Suffering.
Suffering is bliss.
You have to have this equation. If you're looking at suffering, you have to have the opposite of it too. And therefore you're also longing for something, aren't you? So I'm suffering, I want to experience the bliss or ecstasy or whatever it is. So you're always caught betwixt and between. What is this place we're in?
Presence.
Where stillness and movement meet. Where is bliss? Where is faith? Where is trust? Where is hope?
It's right here,
Hope.
right now.
Right here and right now. Right here and right now.
Perception. It's our perception.
Yes. And what we make of it is of the mind in the moment, like we assess the weather or whatever it is. It's our sensory abilities that we can put into words. But we're talking about a fundamental arcane law here that is ever present.
It's like God's space, like we're in that space,
Right.
that God space.
Yes. 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 It is.
Doesn't matter what we're doing,
No.
we're in
No. But we are aware of it. So we can complete this sentence. What is this precious gift? This precious thing that's there for us in every moment when we're present, and by our hard-earned treading of the spiritual path of peeling off all the layers and the conditioning and the purification that goes on to bring us here. What is it? What is this precious gift, precious thing that we have?
Awareness.
All right,
Yeah,
all right,
too.
good enough. Yes.
Not good enough. Come on, the right. Another skin to peel.
There's a sort of a at times like this, my mind is trying to find an answer, and you know, and when you said awareness, it's like, for me, I go back to the story, and I go back to the metaphor of the story and of the angel descending to earth on a mission from God, literally, to find what is most precious, and finding that the point where stillness and movement met, the movement of the angel towards the human, and the movement of the human towards God, and at the point where repentance met awareness that, oh, this is precious, where the angel took the tear, grace entered, and awareness entered, and that was the space that opened it up. That was when the man felt the presence of God, and in that the peace and the grace and all of that, and it was where one movement met another movement, and to me that's where the key is turned.
Okay. All right. Now we're cooking with gas, as the saying goes.
Taking space to see what's already there.
Right.
Yeah, because it's just the consciousness traveling through the dimension. We can be in the problem, or we can be out. There's the ability to change, shift, and change space.
Yes. Yes.
Consciousness.
Yes.
When he says, I can't anymore, it's because everything is focused in this little box, and the little box has become everything. And suddenly, I can't anymore is just allowing the cap to be lifted, and then the air to enter, and things to happen the way they have to happen.
Yes. 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 Yes.
It's like an implosion, isn't it? When you finally surrender, there's an implosion.
Yes.
But it was an openness, wasn't there?
That's right. In that moment we made the
removal
space.
and just asking the surrendering opened up that channel.
Yes.
So it's connection really. He was able to receive.
Absolutely. So we know the law. Now we know what that is.
And more than opening up, it's not so much opening up, it's more stopping to close.
Nicely put.
Yes, yes.
Because opening up, it's open all the time. It's just keeping it closed. It can, nothing can move, nothing can happen.
No.
There's no circulation, there's separation.
Yes.
Stopping to hold on it and strangle the channel of life is allowing life just to be where it is, one.
Yes. So what, when we're standing in front of that easel, or we're sitting over that desk, or we're standing in front of someone who's in a paroxysm of tears in front of us, having some great tragedy occur in their lives, what happens in that space? Okay, we are empty. There is a space. We're receptive. But what is it that's there? Mind is not there, but there is something there, represented by this tear that's offered to God.
Compassion.
No,
Beingness.
no.
Oneness.
Oneness is there.
Seeing the other.
No.
Almost like allowing a movement to come from inside.
Absolutely. It's allowing. Find another word.
Surrendering.
Surrendering is there, yes. This is in my parlance, and I have to use my parlance. What we're doing now is making God real. Do you understand what is being said? That's what we have to do. We can be empty, we can be in this place of receptivity, in a now place, a here place, but we have to know, as has been said basically years and years ago, and which has been said over and over again, you have to know who you are, and you have to know who God is. We have to know what we're about. We have to know what we do. We're not just pawns of some laws that swirl around in existence. Just as we're not some puppet on a string of some higher being for us. But for that, we have to meet God real, and that's what we're about at the moment.
So do you mean, Pat, that just say like, if just say that that we're talking to somebody, we know that, you know, they're upset. So while that's happening, that we're aware of that is happening. Is that what you mean by the law, like making God real? Like, you know that something, is that what you mean?
The basic law that is being talked about in making God real is being in this place every moment and being aware of what this place is. Not the movement of life, not the interaction with the experiences we're having. They're all part of the illusory movement that goes on. That's part of the electromagnetism of existence. But what is the fundamental behind that existence that's present here in us when we are in this place and state where we are totally, as to use those words, still, and the movement of life comes in and the interaction begins. What is this place and state?
The place of the hole in the flute.
Oh, yes, it can be. You can describe it as that.
The divine.
The divine. We give it that name. We call it the divine. Or God, if you want to have it.
So it's knowing that we are God.
Yes. If you want to put it in that way, yes. But again, bringing it back to what is this precious gift that is there when we're in this state of knowing and awareness and emptiness, in fact. And yet at every moment there has to be, no, I'm not going to give you the answer, I almost forgot me. Oh.
It was right on the tip of your tongue.
Yes, indeed.
It's not centre, is it?
No. Where is the centre of nothing?
See, when the man and the angel met, it was not just the angel taking the tear, it was the man recognising that the angel took the tear. So there was something from him as well. He was in that state of absolute desperation where I've totally done everything wrong. And where am I going now?
Yes.
But once he did that, it was a recognition that came from him. That's the...
Yes. We know, as has been said, grace descends when there's a space made, right? Grace is present. The laws of life work for us within that. But what is this fundamental state? This precious gift that we give every moment.
I just don't know,
And we're not letting you out of that chair till we hear it.
I so want to say it, but I just don't know.
Okay, homework.
More homework.
Maybe we should look at inside.
Absolutely, we have
in
to
a
look
bit of
inside.
silence.
But
So we can see.
It's observable. None of this that's being said is not experienceable by ourselves in every moment of life when we're in this place. So experience it for yourself. Be aware now of what happens when you stand in front of that easel or stand in front of that book or stand in front of that person, whoever it might be, and recognize what it is that's there in the space that we are.
But it's kind of hard because it means the mind is functioning, and as soon as the mind starts functioning, this thing that we can find the name is kind of slipping away.
We don't need it. We just need to you now because
it's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's a feeling.
Awareness. It's an awareness.
A sensation. feeling. That when you put a name to that feeling.
And what happens when God is real?
We stop talking about it.
Do you ever forget?
No.
Do you ever forget? No, what is it then?
No, but it's
Knowing.
hard to find name. No, but it's hard to find name to communicate. It's more of a state than something you name and put in a box. Or naming is like putting in a box.
Then we'd never have any stories. I wouldn't have any stories.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been tricking us all this time.
It's why they are incomplete.
Your stories point to the unnameable.
That's right. That's right. Like,
Ultimately, the stories do fall away. That's stillness inside.
inside, indeed. Yes.
It's why they are
Without
never
the stories,
finished.
it'd be
They're
boring.
never finished. Yes, right.
You're always in a job.
I haven't lost my job.
It's like watching the finger instead of the moon.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Isn't part of that knowing who we are, isn't that like when we're in that moment where there's the space happening and knowing who we are, not only the divine things come through, also the other things come.
Of course.
And then this knowing actually says, no, this is the other and this is the divine.
Yes, this is the mind's ability, the sensory awareness that we have, but what is it that's there fundamentally that contains all of these things, which are really only awarenesses of the mind and its ability to be able to differentiate between them. So talking about something that is there all the time, and we've already acknowledged it. We know it. And if we know it, we have to be able to express it. To be able to express it is to be able to do the work that we're here to do. That's why there's that pedanticism, right? Acknowledging, finding and expressing.
Could it be expressed as the word life? That life is that force that moves us, is that force that experiences stillness, is that force that moves everything. So when we're standing in front of somebody who's in pain or suffering, that life is impulsed to move, to speak, to act, to respond meaningfully, and whether or not we're aware of it, life is there. It transforms. At the moment we experience it in a body. When the body passes, we experience life in another form. Would that be?
Absolutely, life is movement. That's it. In a nutshell, life is movement. But in this place that we're at, couldn't we call this life? I wouldn't call it life.
No, we want a more richer, fuller word for it, don't we?
I know I'm going to print on my t-shirt. Like
Copyrighted.
So that when you forget, you can just...
Oh yeah, that's what's happening.
We'll have a collective tattoo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, what would you call it, Pat?
Oh, that's a trick question.
Signaling.
Good try.